Trying to get a thumbnail. Kevin does not like being filmed. You have an OnlyFans account now?
I can actually talk to my 10 fans.
You have 11 now.
Okay, well, all right, that's so awesome. But it actually gives me, you know, like on some of these platforms I get really overwhelmed by all the questions and everything like that. But right now people have been asking what I've been doing, and now I'm starting to show my secret little...
So Kevin has an OnlyFans account. You can find it at onlyfans.com/Kevin McCurley. OnlyFans is actually starting to appeal to more creators that aren't adult film actors. Now, is Kevin using it correctly? No.
I am the ultimate janitor.
It's free right now because I don't feel comfortable charging you nice people for broom content. Make sure you guys jump on his OnlyFans because I can't get him to post things unless he has an audience to appeal to. Nice little watermarks letting everybody know that this is from onlyfans.com/Kevin McCurley. If your boyfriend or girlfriend's like, why do you have an OnlyFans account? You can be like, I'm following Kevin McCurley. He's a reptile breeder.
We are in my secret dungeon, and this is a place that I don't show very often. It's a place I come to get away from, and I get to work on my animals. All right, so let's do a little bit of show and tell, and I also have Jeremy here too.
This guy?
And
I'm here for the energy.
It's friggin' hot down here. So, yet alone the temperature of the room, I play around. We have things like, if we don't have any heat, I wouldn't be monitoring. I have little gadgets. I can look at my phone to see what my temperatures and my humidity are and how it ramps up and ramps down. And if anybody's been around anything, I can tell. But we also actually have heat on these cages with thermostats. So they're thermostatically controlled, and I'm basically working on my temperature cycles. So once again, it's sad when I open things up, but I always have to feel like I have to explain this because people are misconstruing stuff. And if you're one of the people that doesn't get this far in the video and you see something and within 1 minute you react, then you post some negative comment and then you leave and give me a thumbs down, I'm never gonna win you over because your brain doesn't work.
They're also never gonna see this part of the video. Yep. Maybe I'll just put it in the beginning.
And I can take your camera when you
take the camera.
Oh my God.
You should narrate. What are you looking at now, Kevin?
So this is an albino square tail. Notice the definitive markers of squareism. Kind of like this guy is very square.
That's right.
This is a albino square tail, and oh boy, I have some really pretty ones. This one just happens to be shedding. Oh, look, Donnie, they're breeding, they're copulating. This should be on OnlyFans.
This should be.
For pornography.
Have you been posting on OnlyFans?
I have, but then somebody gave me $5, Donnie.
For what?
I don't know. They were just being nice to me. You know what? They felt sorry for me. Oh, look. Hi.
Look at his, yeah, he's got a bump on his
Kevin's not even
nose.
looking at the view screen.
No, I'm not. No, I'm looking at this male. He's got a little bump on his nose, and that's what they'll do. So, look at this guy. Hi, buddy. I don't need you. I'll go around the corner. Actually, no. You know what? Red tails. We got some red tail boas. So. Okay, so here's a really important one. I felt I am obsessed with constrictor. You know what that is, Donnie? No. Things like Guyana red tail boas, Bolivian red tails, Peruvian, Guyana, and these are unlike the other guys where when I'm actually wanting to breed these, I'm interested in just breeding as they exist in nature because they're so beautiful. I mean, they're exquisite. You see a lot less of them, and we have a lot of constrictor at Nerd. I'm really into Guyanas a lot, but this pair is actually these are Surinams. So this is about a 10-year-old female, and then there's a little male. So he's already pressing himself down on this female. So as she starts developing follicles, she's going to put out pheromones that's going to further intensify this male's interest in the courting. So when you take this and you add hypo, there's no hypo or anything in this. This is like the straight super homozygous form. But you add hypo, oh my God, the colors. I just find the snake really, really interesting. And albinism. So if we do coral albino and all that, but just so cool. That striping. You like that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He just started courting. His women's are very large. We have another IMG. This is a Roswell hypo, but she's shedding. So we showed on her before. Let's go. Oh, there you go. Come here, Donnie. Quick. See that?
Oh my God, they're doing it.
Nice. He's got his claw away. So those little claws are helping get that female right where he wants. Oh, that was pretty cool though. So that's a very mature male with a big claw like that. So this right here, like right under that little, see that right there? I love that. Hey, sweetie. Love that line under the eye.
Yeah, that is cool.
So she's shedding. That's just a big salmon jungle. She's like 8 years. Actually, no, she's like probably 8 foot, and she's like 14 years old. And that's hypo, IMG. So these are sun glows. So these are albino hypos, but they also come from the orange gasm bloodline, which is, if I just had that as itself, it would be a boa with maybe a bit more orange on it, but it's genetic. And so these two girls are just waiting for me to breed them. Just haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to breed them to. But if you saw these in daylight, this is a different looking snake than my straight like lipstick albinos and all sorts of stuff. What's important here is having true, authentic bloodlines. I go look on Morph Market because obviously Morph Market is wonderful, and I get a little confused sometimes. And it's like some of the stuff I think is like getting a little bit lost. And in those boutique breeders that are really on point, but I think what they're doing is they just run past like what a really ridiculous lipstick albino looks like. The lipstick albino, sun glow, all that coral albino are just ridiculous. Let me see if I can get her. Hi, baby. Here you go.
What on that head do you like?
I like the weird markings. I like all the freckling at the top of the head. You got like that arrow going through it. I really like it. And what it does is it stretches the pattern and it links all this pattern. So then when I look with the black light on the albinos, you'll get these islands, like these big blotches. So it's really cool. But these are very necessary ingredients to make ridiculous stuff. So if we fast forward and let's say I am lucky enough to get litters of living babies, as I should, I'll show you some snakes that are ridiculous. Here, some good stuff over here. So IMG, albino with jungle and hypo, and you get this beautiful lipstick albino, jungle, super hypo, something like that. Some of the stuff I don't even, as long as we identify some of the base different genes, it gets to be mind-numbing because there's so much variability. There's nothing that follows exactly. But 2 males with this situation, 2 females works wonderful. Oh, so this guy right here,
Why is he in the water?
he's cooling down.
Yeah?
Because it's too hot in here.
Yeah?
It's too hot. So, when we are breeding snakes, if I take an animal and I expose them to too much heat, what happens is their sperm count can go down. See it in the water dish, Donnie?
Mm-hmm. Donnie, what's that?
Is that a load?
Yeah, it could be. So we got some breeding going on here, folks, and he's sitting in his water.
Dude,
He's shamed.
that's called self-love.
Self-love, man.
No, he's got a beautiful girl there.
And this is VPIT positive. So I'm so ignorant that we have things called like pink panthers. This is a pink panther, so it's a VPI but with like more color. So we have like the pastel Colombian Imperator boas, which is a prettier than standard Colombian boa, and they call that pastel. That'd be like Jeff Ronnie. So then we have a T positive, so this is tyrosine positive, means that unlike other albinos, it's an albino, but there's still the presence of melanin. So you get this, actually it's gonna probably transfer into our little minds as like hypo. But this is a tyrosine positive, so it's a T positive boa. Very, very sweet. And then over here, we take the same thing and we can then add Motley and hypo, T positive to it.
All right,
So-
do you want to talk about this more?
So this is a T positive Burke line Imperator. So if I were to breed this to the VPI line T positive, they do not occur at the same locus site. So they are non-allelic, so the genetics would miss each other. So they wouldn't handshake. And a lot of times we're really interested in getting genetics to handshake. So this is definitely a different animal. But like I said, the camera really kind of nicks. But the red that on this tail is it's like this really interesting waxy red. 98% of all my albino line would be the call line stuff. So making sure to get really good stock originating from Peter Call, because Peter was the founder of all things albino boas and all things piebalds. So we just looked at VPI-T positive. So if we actually take the VPI-T positive and we add it to the increasing melanin genes, that's the IMG gene, we can actually make snakes look like this. So this little guy has almost this coffee color to him, and you can see the sides of the classic IMG, which just gets this black side, but then you can see all these interesting browns. So basically the tyrosinase positive, T positive, is actually fighting to express itself. So you get this cocoa area down the back, and this is, let me turn them around, really high caliber stuff. So these are IMG anatheristics, so those are combos. So anatherism and increasing melanin gene combined to make this beautiful black looking animal. And now we're doing the introduction, because they're also Het T positives. So we're now doing the introduction of a male, which is basically anatheristic, IMG with T positive, and now he's going to breed these. So the resulting offspring, we can produce more animals like that. One thing that's kind of interesting too is we'll show you some really nice IMG stuff, but as you breed IMG to IMG, you can actually improve your gene stock. So I see a lot of IMG stock out there, and a lot of times you have to be like, okay, I think it's IMG stuff, but I can show you some IMGs that are just very, very black, you know, what we'd associate with them, like called the Black Devil. And the Black Devil would be a black-eyed anatheristic IMG, which that really beefs up the IMG gene big time. But this is actually all still, you know, the standard IMG, the number one IMG, you know, the call IMG, and gene with anatherism. Okay, so this is an albino Motley, and this animal could also have jungle and hypo. When we say hypo, we're often just like the salmon gene, so that's like the original hypo we call the salmon. But when you hear hypomelanism and salmon in this stuff, it's pretty much one and the same. There are variable different lines of hypomelanism, but we're actually just going to talk pretty much about just the salmon and all of this stuff. Now we start looking. This is like some of the stuff that I really, really like. So I really want the oranges and the reds, and hopefully we can pick this up. So if you look at see the head on this guy? So we have the call line albino, and then you lace in things like the lipstick. So lipstick and coral are essentially, from what I gather, are the same. And then we can add things like jungle and hypo to make them really interesting. So if I go to this female, even though she's shedding, you can see the amount of red. That's dimorphism being shown. here. So we have that little male, and that little male is an albino anatharistic IMG. It's probably likely either jungle or arabesque on that. And then you have this big, beautiful albino sun glow boa, so lipstick albino with hypo, and that really makes it pop. But if you look at the tail on this, just glorious. So you can see the sides are all blanked out.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, sweetie. So the sides are all blanked out, and then you get these, like, these islands, and I can show you better examples. And I noticed we get these like islands when we have arabesque in there because it connects the saddles, but you just make some really strange looking animals. So back to this Motley. So Motley is really cool, and it makes these big, blocky, lattice style patterns. This is a big female, and once again, this is that's a beautiful little IMG albino male. So the thing about this IMG, I think I prefer it when it's black or whatever, but this is I'm very interested in the genetic aspects of it. So I am interested so much in the genotype, where I'm looking at something like this is the phenotype. So the one thing you do want to not do with Motley, when you breed Motley to Motley, it pretty much has a fatal super, and it makes like a black snake. So we try not to double up on the Motley gene at all if we can help it. Okay, so we have some, this is active courting.
I thought there was called mobbing.
No, it's only one male. So
Okay.
when there's multiple males and they have no...
I didn't know that. Wait, so mobbing's when you have multiple males?
it's actually something I say. IMG combo male is IMG anatherism with IMG anatherism, this big female. So he has been working this female. We're now basically, so to breed boas, you need to manipulate humidity cycles, lighting cycles, temperature cycles, and also just the food regime and how you actually do it. So the big problem with boas, breeding boas, getting boas to actually copulate and breed, that's not so hard. Getting them to actually ovulate and actually have successful live birth, that is definitely a trick, and I'm always still learning on that too. Albino, hypo, jungle. And a lot of times the jungle will not display as much orange, but just beautiful. The overall color of that snake is just awesome. And the jungle, we'll show you some jungle. So here, right there, that's an albino Motley combo. So Motley really does cool things when I breed it into IMG. Jungle does really cool things when you breed into IMG, and so does an arabesque. I think because what we're trying to always do is we want to make the darkest snake possible with any weird, pattern or weird colors. I think that's what we want to do. Okay, so here, this is a big IMG anatheristic, and this is actually a hypo IMG. And if I added anatherism, it would be basically a ghost IMG. So this is something pretty cool. So square tail. So this is right here.
Okay, show me
the big. We call it square tail, and it's just because of these markings. So she's shedding right now, but she has all this wonderful orange on her. And for some reason on a lot of my het albino square tails, I get this paradoxing where this lightness comes through, and it's pretty ridiculous. But it makes for this beautiful, like the albino square tails are just rocking. They're gorgeous. There is another kind of square tail that does come from it originates from like Europe. I don't really know a lot about it. It's not the same as the call line square tail. Original square tail, actually, I think that and the orangegasm came from, like, I think a friend of mine, Frank Martin, and way back. So we're talking about, very much initial stocks. People bringing in, I want this snake into the breeding project because it's orange. I want this snake to brought in because it's pink. These are the things that entered all this line breeding early on, and it's very, very key. So if you have a boa constrictor that's really high pink, that's basically a genetic attribute of that animal. And if I take that and breed it to whatever I do, some of those resulting offspring may display some of that pink, or they may be carriers of that. But if I breed those resulting babies back to that animal, that's called line breeding, inbreeding. And actually with reptiles, it's actually great because reptiles can tolerate an incredible amount of genetic depression because their genes are very, very strong. Mammals and birds, not as much genetic depression can they tolerate it, but reptiles are amazingly strong. It's a very primitive gene, so they will tolerate a lot of genetic depression where just repeated breeding and sharing of the genes that were, they're related, it works. But in our case, we're trying to make these things that are beautiful to us. So you want to make a healthy animal, but you want it to be beautiful. And you like the visually appealing to us because we are playing with living art. We love these animals so much, and we're always trying to like design like the prettiest boa, the pinkest this, the reddest that. So this is what we do. This is what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to like explain some of that. This has got so many genes. This is actually an IMG. So right from here down, you can see all the red. This has got a lot of genes in them. So this is this would be jungle, hypo, motley, IMG, and just beautiful with all the lipstick albino. But this is a very, very important male to us for breeding. You see how red that is? Look at the head. Look at the face. There's no blood in this. So if we did like blood boa stuff, oh my gosh, it would be so silly. So there's obviously a lot to do. But right now I really want to make incredibly pretty albino combos, really good quality IMG combos, obviously jungles and hypos and super salmons and arabesque and all the different combos. I definitely want to make all that. But we're breeding right now, so it is tough being a breeder because there's so much work when you do it on this level, and I'm not like a factory or anything like that. It's a lot of animals that I do hands-on every day. But you have to keep yourself motivated because when I'm breeding the animal and I'm conditioning the animal and I'm going through all the different stuff, I'll be doing all this work, intensive work for months at a time. No results. You get nothing. You get no fulfillment. The only fulfillment is actually watching animals do well. The animals breed, and then you're hoping they're going to further, the reproductive process where they're actually going to grow follicles. They're going to ovulate, have, positive breeding where there's actually sperm being held in that female. So when they ovulate, you actually have fertile embryo that will develop, and then getting live babies because boas can shock you. You can breed them, you can do everything you want with them, and then one day you come in there, and they actually, a lot of times when they have babies, there's like a smell. I can walk into this room and I'm like, yeah, baby boas have been born. You can do that, and you want that to see live baby boas, but a lot of times you can have stillborn boas because maybe we've done something wrong, the condition of the female, the temperatures, there's all these different things, and these are things that are far from an exact science. So I'm trying to share some of this stuff to you because these are all the trials and tribulations we go through. More. Look at that. Look at the head on her. Pretty. Hey, sweetie. Do you know what I realized? How much I say hi, sweetie. On the last video, it's what I do.
You ever greet your girlfriend like that, and she's like, "Don't fucking do that." Yeah, just
yeah.
You don't
one of your boas?
Yeah.
Yeah. You love your boas more than me. But look at, see that right there? That is so nice. She doesn't want to turn around. Look at that. So this is the kind of boas we'll be making. Just really excellent pedigree stock.
Before we finish, is there a snake that you're really excited that I can, because I'm gonna think thumbnail.
Yeah.
So I want to get it up like whatever. So pick one before we leave.
Yeah. Okay.
And I want to get you on a wall that I can edit out. That's the mistake I made last time. What do you got here?
Okay. So here's something that's a little bit more sedate. So we're looking at 2 hypo jungles. So this is hypo and the jungle gene. A lot of times the jungle gene you get to see when it's not going crazy. Jungles can make things stripy and crazy, and like this guy. So these are hypo jungle het T positive, and this guy is a T positive Motley hypo, probably with jungle in them too. But if you look down here towards his tail,
Yeah.
it's just gorgeous.
Can you bring the tail's actually pretty cool?
He's courting, so
Oh, he's courting?
I don't
Okay.
like to.
Well, I didn't know he's courting. You can get it. Here you go, camera guy.
Oh my goodness, Donnie, let me hold the camera.
Oh, it's pretty wrecked. I don't let Jeremy do it because he's terrible. It's true. I have my moments. There you go.
Thank you, Donnie. I feel so trusted.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I don't know. What's this? Okay, so that's once again. This is another. So you probably want to see. This is the jungle hypo, and you get this. Often you get this line right in the head. She's sleeping. Hi, sweetie. There you go. That's my standard. It's because I just how I view them, I guess. And I give myself plenty of opportunities to get bit. And I think if I say that kind of stuff, I don't get bit, because I don't very often get bit at all. And I bleed just like anybody else.
I gotta turn my camera on, dude. You didn't turn your camera on!